Record there. Okay. Well, welcome to another episode of Authentic AF. I'm Dr. Steph Ardrey, and with me is,
Rene de Koning.
hey Renee, how you doing today?
Yeah, doing fine. Awesome. It was an amazing day today for a Monday, that is. Yeah.
Mondays
Great.
are always either a big start to the week with a lot of energy, or for some people dread Mondays. Which are you?
Well, I found an amazing short video on YouTube about the, what is it, F-35 taking off. And I was like, man, I'm gonna share that on my storyboard. When the pilot gets into the fighter jet and then the one on the ground goes like this, yep. And then they fly and then they, oh my God, it's give me so much energy in a sense for me, but personally, I mean, but it was something like, yeah, I'll have to post that. Have a maverick Monday and week ahead, I mentioned. So Top
So
Gun
that's
Maverick,
funny.
right?
So
Yeah.
that's funny. So I have always liked to be I can't wait to Monday kind of person. You know, some people are they can't wait till Friday. So I actually look forward to Monday. It's like kind of my Christmas, like I get to get back into, whatever
Okay.
it is that I'm
Yeah.
into. But that's interesting because sometimes it seems that lately, because I've been working through the weekends, that now coming into Monday, I'm exhausted
Mm,
because there wasn't sufficient, pause. And that's just because of where we are in the business development life cycle, in the startup
yeah.
mode. This is that painful birthing process.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, Mondays are for me. I mean, I don't really have a Monday or a Friday or whatever because I work 24/7. I mean, every day, Saturday, Sunday. I mean, but it is a fact that, yeah, sometimes, you have these Monday morning people, and then I feel the need to send something energetic. Like I used to f fly in the forces myself, and we did all kinds of crazy stuff in the air, and that's the adrenaline and testosterone goes to such a peak. It is crazy. But that is, yeah, when I see Formula One, for example, I mean, I would love to drive one day. I don't think it's gonna happen, but it's just, the need for speed, like and living on the edge. But that's the other day I said something to somebody. He says, Renee, you're a bit crazy. I said, well, it's only the crazy people that change the world. The normal people, bless them and all my respect, but normal people will never change the world. It's only
Absolutely.
us, the crazy ones, right? So,
Absolutely. It does. It's true. It's absolutely true. I mean, and that's, I think, the thing that's so valuable is leaning into your truth, right? But our topic for today is very timely. I kind of think even in the context of this morning, I was sharing that I was on an earlier meeting, we early for me this morning. And what I realized was when I took away from the meeting and I was kind of making, evaluation notes not only on what I felt were the challenges versus the outcomes in the meeting, but kind of wanting to understand the why. Like I wanted the feedback to provide some teachable opportunities.
mm-mm.
And
Okay.
where I came from that was two opportunities. One, to coach the person that I felt, needed to have a broadened perspective, like had a complete blind spot to the possibilities that I was presenting and the why, but also the teachable more for what can I learn about that in my own journey,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And because again, we each teach from our perspective. So the fact that you have a perspective, you said you flew, I can't wait to learn to pilot, right? It's always been my dream to have a G650, and not that I would fly it, but I would just want to understand how my pilot is flying it in the event of an emergency, right? I don't want to just be in there blind, right? It's my powerful machine. So
Yeah.
it's just another one of my kind of fantasies, but it's I don't think it's a fantasy. It's just been always something. It's everything that has been of interest, I've manifested along my journey. And so why would that be any different? You know, what I gave myself as a requirement that I would build a business that required that mode of transportation, and then it's just the
Mm,
business tool. And so that is what it is that, so it's like, you set the vision with the end game in mind. How does it manifest? What does it look and feel like for you? And so that's kind of what I was saying, even in the sense of you're building a contracting opportunity with an organization,
mm,
but you haven't created a clear vision of what winning looks like for you.
mm.
You basically, created, you're thinking from the standpoint of your job used to be to do X. So you're
Yeah.
thinking from the lens of your job, but there's no job if you don't create this other part.
It's about, when I was in school I don't know how you translate it into the US norm, but in between you're 6 years old and 12 years old,
Uh-huh.
you go to basic school, or how you call that?
So we
Um,
called it, those would be two. That would be both or middle school and high school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was always like dreaming and looking outside of the window, especially when I was 8, 9, 10 years old. And the teacher would always say, "Hey man, it's over here," and I was watching a bird flying by and an airplane and a motorcycle. And I was always like, what if that would be me, right? What if, what if? And now years later, funny enough, I mean, I was in the Navy. From the Navy, I was an engineer. From the engineer, I flew Marchetti, which is a three-seater propeller. But it doesn't matter. It is about having that dream and looking forward to what's next. And what's next for me was like I saw people speaking on stage and I said, wow, these guys have an amazing job. And I saw it as a job because later on I found out it's your company. And then I started that company, and then from one thing comes another and another. And in terms of public speaking, how do you get there? You just practice, 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 and you fall and you get up, and you fall down and get up. And yeah, it's been quite a journey. But to come back to the subject, to what you just
Yeah.
mentioned, is that it starts with a little seed in your brain,
Hmm.
and then you build from there. And when people say it's impossible, get rid of them,
Hmm.
because everything is possible. And it doesn't matter if you have a diploma or not. It doesn't matter what your background is. If you think I can do it, just do it and surround yourself with the right people. That's how I did it, right?
But here's the thing in that. That's
Hmm.
the work that has to be done, right? You've got to expand in order to get to the outcomes. You have to expand beyond where you are at this particular point, because the new outcomes require new people, new inputs. And so
Mm,
that's then where you have to go. What I was using as an analogy and example is saying that I've been being invited into certain networking groups, and that's getting an invitation into another group, and that's getting in. And so when I'm going into these different environments, those are what we would say would be warmer environments. You're not coming in cold. You
mm.
didn't have to fight your way
Yeah.
into the environment. You were invited to be a guest in that particular space. So that's one set of what's going to help you fulfill the opportunities, to fill in the gaps, getting into some new spaces that you haven't been in. But part two of that is you need to call into some opportunities. Like I have a list of companies that I need to cold call the chief human
Mm. Yeah.
resources
Yeah.
officer, right? And just get it, fight through to get through. But here's the thing. If that has not been my comfort zone of late in calling, then initially the first few calls, you feel a little bit anxious.
Mm.
But it's the same thing. You still have to go forward.
True.
You have to press past being anxious to get to the outcome. You have to press past possible no's. Yes, you might be told no.
I remember Chris Gardner from The Pursuit of Happiness, the that was played by Will Smith. And I remember Chris Gardner. I saw him live, the real Chris Gardner, the real guy that went through what, because it's based
Yes,
on a real story.
yes.
And I saw him in Amsterdam, I think 2014 or 15, and he said, "Do you see this finger?" He says, "It's from the dialing." He dials 200, 300 people a day. He says, and that's why my finger now is like this is from the diet. But it's the only way it works, right? It's, yeah.
But that part. And so in my coachable moment for him, I also saw the coachable moment that I needed for myself, right?
Mm,
And so then I thought about, look at this connection to each of us, kind of connecting and experiencing and sharing. And I said, and so Renee reminded me, it's like you're reminding me of that piece. I
mm,
remember what that piece looked like. I've done that piece before. I've gone through this phase before. I've built, I've got past it
mm.
before, but I forgot because I didn't have to do it for a while.
Yeah,
So it's
yeah.
a little rusty. It's like having muscles that, that you got to rebuild the confidence in the muscles of the process.
Plus, I think in the process as well is from stage fright, as we call it, is that what will help you an awful lot is learning from the masters. When I was backstage with certain people, and then especially then when Tony Robbins, I was backstage a lot with him, and when I was copy pasting his rituals before I went on the stage, and they worked tremendously. And why would you reinvent the wheel if it works, right? So like the breathing exercises, the meditating, and then the power moves, and then you jump on stage and that's it. But in the beginning, it felt weird because you never done that. And if you do something you never done, it's like, right? But then you start having the results and make and fail as much as you can. I was one day on a stage, and I think it was London, representing Tony and for an organization. And after the presentation, I went to the back of the room to the organizer and said, "Hey, how did it go?" And they said, "Perfect," because it was my first time representing Tony. And they said, You did perfect. One thing though, never apologize from stage for your accent." I said, "All right, awesome," because I'm originally from Belgium, and in those days my English was not my English I'm speaking today. But they said never apologize. And I said, okay, that's another thing I learned. Another thing I learned is like, who in the room? No, how many of you, right? You have to change your language. And these are like small details, but
Mhm,
you'll learn along the way, but you have to also be open to learn along the way.
mhm,
And professional speakers, they didn't drop them on a stage somewhere sometime. They went through the process, all of them.
mhm.
And I can only say for people who have stage fright and you really want to become a public speaker, it's like learning how to play piano. It's like learning how to drive the car. The more you do it, the better you become. That's all. And
So
be
it's
open.
just it's
Yeah.
just like like I say to people in terms of my son was very talented as a little boy with a number of sports.
Just
He
bear with me
started,
one second. But go continue.
yeah,
But
yes. He
it happened.
started off as a little, I guess he started off with everything. He did stickball and then he played basketball. And he was such a talented little basketball player. But because he was also an actor, he was getting, I guess, teased, or he felt like he needed to prove that he was tough. So he decided that he wanted to play football. And I didn't think playing football was a good idea because he was small, he was slim. And so I felt like once he got one good tackle that he would get over football. And he decided that just as much as I wanted him to get over football, that he was going to remain determined to play football. And so he gave up playing basketball. And then he decided to eventually come back to basketball.
Hmm.
But all the years that he was so stubborn that he wouldn't play basketball, he lost those years of repetition. Whereas his same friends who continued to play basketball during the gap where he was fooling around over here on football, right? They continued, their skills advanced, right? And so he could never start where he was starting and go back and make up the
Mm.
difference. So there was a gap, right? That it would be like, as I was explaining to this other person, from where he is to where I am, there's a
Uh-huh.
difference in how long we've been playing this game. So I've
Yeah.
already put some miles on the ball. All right.
Yeah.
You and I, from where we are in terms of speaking on stages, I haven't been on a stage in a very, very long time like you are on the stage. There are
Mm-mm.
some gaps. I was on the stage, I got off the stage. Now I'm coming back after a significant gap. So I have to
Mm.
learn from the masters who are now the masters who were putting in the time to build that muscle. I've got to learn from them so that now I can be coached on what would be some shortcuts, what would be some things about the vocabulary that have changed that I can come in getting from a coach, and so that's what I was basically saying is that much to what you're saying is that it's important to realize in everything that we aspire towards, the vision towards, that
Yeah.
there's a different, what I said to him was, listen, in order to get what we want, we have to become who we need to be. That's the
Yeah.
gap. That's what we're filling, is that
Yeah.
gap. But if you're not clear on that gap, then you won't ever do the work necessary to fulfill the gap.
True.
You'll
True.
keep
True.
doing what you're comfortable doing, but that's what got you here. That's not going to get you there. There's some new work that needs to be done.
That's so true. That's so true. I
Yeah.
mean, and whenever people say, "Can you do this? Can you do that?" I say, "Yes," and I figured it out later.
Yeah.
But the more you do, the more you do that,
Right.
I was in the Middle East in November, beginning of November, for 2 weeks, and I spoke in week one, 3 days, and then during the Friday they decided for me to go on a Monday and Tuesday to a different city. I had to fly an hour to get there, and they said, "Would you be able to do that?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure." And in the back of my head, like, okay. Uh, but then in half an hour's time, I know what I'm gonna do, how I'm gonna do it, and
Absolutely.
after all these years, you're well prepared and you know how to do it. And then I came back on a Tuesday night, flying, arriving at midnight in the airport, and at 9 o'clock in the morning, I had to do another 3 day training.
Yeah.
And they said, "How do you do that?" But this is, years of doing it.
Absolutely.
You know what I
Yes.
mean? I was in an
Yeah.
office in London with a company that I know very, very well, very well. And they said, "Rene, would you entertain my personnel for 45 minutes because the Wi-Fi is down?" I said, "Absolutely. Where's the room?" And they said, "Well, do you need a computer? Do you need a screen? Do you need?"
Oh,
I
it's
said,
like
"Need
I'm ready to
nothing.
go.
Give me
Yes.
the room." And they go
Yeah.
like, "What?" And we had
Yeah.
a 45-minute blast. We had
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah.
But it is, you have to, when the sound goes out, for example, I
Yes.
had that in Birmingham. I was presenting for a group of, I think, 120 people, and I had a microphone, which I, in my belief, didn't need. But hey, they had it for recording purpose and stuff. And all of a sudden, the sound went down. I just took the thing off and I continued.
Yeah.
But you can't panic in that moment because, oh my God, no, you just continue, continue. I had that with Robbins in 2016 in London. The sound went out for 8,000 people. No more
Yeah.
sound, no more microphone, no more
Right.
nothing. And
Yeah.
he just continued
Yeah.
walking through the room, and everybody started singing, and there was like
Yeah.
an atmosphere like crazy.
Yeah.
As as a speaker, um, it is it's also entertainment. It is knowing in terms of in cases of emergency, what should I do? What can I do? Etc. 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 And
It's being prepared because when you know
yeah.
your content, but more importantly, when you know what it is you're in game in terms of what it is you're delivering, then you know how to deliver that in any circumstance, right? Because what you begin to understand is in whatever it is that we do, there are tools.
Mm-mm,
There's tools and techniques about it. And so when you understand structures and system structures, for example, if I walk into any environment and I need to figure out what's happening in that environment, right? Say pertaining to business and ecosystem, I know that there's three things that I need to establish for, to go forward. Within an ecosystem, there needs to be somebody that's a customer
mm,
for whatever is being produced. There needs to be an understanding of what's being produced for that particular customer.
mm-mm.
be their primary, secondary, or tertiary customers. And then whatever it is that you're promising to permit, what is the capacity that's required to deliver those promises to those customers? Because then
Mm.
when you understand what capacity, tech, human, you understand what capacity you need, then you can go out and get the capital because
Yeah.
now you understand how to put together a capital stack. But if you think that you can go and get the capital without understanding the customers and the capacity, you will never be successful in
No.
getting the capital. The capital is going to ask you to break down these details. That is what we're doing as CEOs of startups, is that we're creating that we believe that there's an opportunity
Mm.
and we want to exploit that opportunity. And this is what we see as the opportunity. And this is the capacity that we think is necessary in order to service these particular customers that we believe are going to buy what it is we're offering. And
Yeah.
that's why we need this capital to build this system. And in doing so, everybody's going to make some money.
Yeah.
And all of the
Yeah.
people are going to have these experiences because we think they want to have these experiences, right? We're not just doing this because we think everybody's going to make some money. We actually believe, really, that I'm leaning into the experiences, but I figured out how to give people a bunch of great experiences and make money. It wasn't the
Yeah.
money first. It was, I wanted to figure out how to have the most fun in my life every day for the rest of my life. That's the working hypothesis here, Renee, is
Yeah.
I want to live in a blissful state every day for the
Yeah.
rest of my time on this planet. How can I do that and sustain it?
Being passionate.
And it's finding what is it that'll
Yeah.
make me look forward to Monday? What is it that it won't matter if it's Saturday or Sunday? Because it's like, I walk into this with I get to do this. Like, I get to
Yeah.
do this.
But as long as you be passionate, I mean, the other day I was watching a stand-up comedian from Belgium, and he was speaking about speaking with impact and PowerPoint. And he made so much fun of it. He says, can you imagine Martin Luther King speaking for 250,000 people, 250,000 people in front of those people? He had to prepare a PowerPoint. Can you imagine? And
Right.
but Martin Luther King was so passionate. He knew what he was talking about. He
Yeah.
had no need for a PowerPoint. And the
Right.
other day, I was watching a very famous speaker from India. He was presenting with a PowerPoint with just pictures. So one big picture, and then he continued speaking. And then I think in the whole of an hour, he had like 4 or 5 pictures. That's it. And
Mhm.
everybody was like on the tip of their chair, listening and fascinated and wanting to learn and absorb and adapt. And that's a
Mhm.
mistake I see a lot of people make, is they have these all these numbers and things on a presentation. Oh my God, it's like, "Well, don't do that." But when
Mhm.
you're passionate about something, there's still some things you might have to look into. For example, the guy I said, "Hey, I don't have a pen right now, but I said take something in your hands because I can see you're having trouble with your hands, right? So take a pen or a pointer or whatever in your hands and make sure." And he did that, and all of a sudden he started like acting differently just by using a pen. And
Mhm.
these are little techniques. But when you're passionate about something and you know what you're talking about, normally you don't need a PowerPoint. In
Right.
my case, it's different because I have body language and I have to show
Sure.
pictures of people in certain ways. They
Sure,
have their
sure, sure.
postures, their gestures, their micro expressions. But for me, a PowerPoint is normally not needed in a presentation if you know what you're talking about and if you're passionate about it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it is. It is. So in this, that's why I thought this topic was so perfect. So Warren Buffett used particular techniques to get over stage fright. He said, now I don't remember off the top of my head his particular techniques, but like in your experience of dealing with, say, CEOs and leaders who you train in body language, what are some of the things that you find that you're coaching them on that may even be a technique to help one address their own personal stage fright, so that they kind of and then even to fake it till you make it. Like how should you posture yourself that even though you don't fully feel it yet, but you're able to kind of pretend as if you feel empowered in the way that you need to go ahead and you know
Mm,
introduce and lead the
mm.
charge.
there's a few things to do for sure is that meditation and breathing exercises before you go on stage. And you can do that in the toilet, you can do that in your car, you can do that wherever you want. And when I say breathing exercises, you don't have to do it for hours in a row. It's just like 10 times in, 10 times out in a certain way, right? And then you meditate and you ask the universe, like, hey, I'm the delivery boy. It is not about me, it's about these people. So use me as a delivery person with the message that those people needs to hear. That is most of the time what I ask the universe to do. And then I meditate and then I do a couple of more breathing exercises and then I'm completely relaxed. And then you can do that exercise when you push your fists together as hard as you
Hmm.
can, as hard as you can until it hurts. And then you relax your hands along your body. You have these, these endorphins releasing and you go like, oh, yes. And then you're fully loaded and you go on stage. But then what happens a lot is people don't know what to do with their hands, right? And then I said, use a pen or a pointer or whatever. Another technique is to have your hold your hands like this in the form of a roof, right?
Hmm.
If you watch people on television, uh, if it's the moderator or the one who is interviewed, a lot of them have their hands like this. And why is that?
Okay.
This is a form of being very confident. You're well
Hmm.
prepared. You have an answer ready for every single question. And
Hmm.
but don't exaggerate. I had a guy, I coached him and he was exaggerating. I said, "Man, stop doing this. You look like a
Hmm.
clown. It
Hmm.
has to be natural." You know what I mean?
Hmm.
And then make sure you have like you stand in a pose when people would push you, you won't fall over. So make
Hmm.
sure you're standing strong on a stage and you're in
Hmm.
charge. This is your domain. You're
Hmm.
in charge. You're the boss. You are speaking.
Hmm.
And when you have those power moves and you have these hands and you look people in the eyes, and if you're scared about people looking in the eyes, look just above the head, like the
Hmm.
if you in
Hmm.
with like multiple participants, if you're on the
Hmm.
one-on-one, look in the third eye. So
Hmm.
people have the impression you look in their eyes.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
still you're looking in to them in their eyes as they
Hmm.
experience it, but you're not looking in their eyes, they're looking to the third. It makes you more comfortable because you're not comfortable looking in somebody's eye. These are all techniques. I can go on and on and on and on that you could use. And the more you use them, the more confident you become, and the more it becomes a routine, it becomes a habit, right? Because you said you just mentioned like fake until you make it. You can do that for a while. You can't keep doing that because I
Right.
mean, yeah, I have some certain speakers. I sometimes say, oh my God, no, come on, not again. So, but I look at it from a standpoint of view of body language, and you do have to realize when the body language is not correct or you have a fake body language, even though you don't know nothing about body language, the subconscious mind of a person will absorb it. And that gut feeling will say, like, I don't know what it is with that guy, but something is off, right? And
Yes,
ultimately, I mean, we all have that gut feeling when we say something is not,
absolutely.
yeah. So it's
Absolutely.
super important to, you know, to be natural, to be passionate, not to have a big, huge PowerPoint, whatever presentation or keynote, and make sure you have your hands and your body language. And I was on last Tuesday, I was in the UK with a car collecting a little bit of stuff, and I went back. And at the ferry, because we have to cross the channel from the UK to France, and at the ferry, the lady who had my tickets and everything, she says, "Oh, sir, where you from? What do you do?" I said, "I'll teach body language." She says, "What? What is my body language telling you?" And I said, "Lady, you don't want to know." And she started laughing. She said, "Seriously?" I said, "Lady, be you. That's the best body language. Don't fake it." And she started laughing more. But that is what it is on a stage as well with people to come back to the subject, stage fright.
Yeah.
Just be you. Don't be scared. When you
So
are
I, it makes me
authentic,
think
I
of, I
said,
remember, do you remember the book I Can See You Naked? So that was one of the early, kind
heard
of,
about it.
yes, right.
Yeah.
So imagine, one of the ways to help combat your stage fright was to imagine that your whole audience is sitting naked. And that was supposed to kind of give you oh my goodness, as usual, we're just about out of time. We've gone to our limit of
Oh,
time.
wow.
What I want you
When
to
you're
do,
passionate, that happens, right?
exactly. We're living this. But listen, this rolls right into the Sacred Union retreat for couples that we've been talking about and telling people about is, why don't you tell them a little bit more about this opportunity to join us in Jamaica?
Yeah. Um, I am so looking forward to that. First of all, never been to Jamaica. I would love to go. I heard a lot of positive things about Jamaica. So that's the first thing. It's an amazing country, an amazing island. I did some research already and looking forward to that. That's the first thing. The second thing is that it is a for five couples only. So what I mean about that, five couples only, we're gonna go super in depth in terms of relationships, in terms of communication skills, in terms of mindset, in terms of masculine, feminine energy. We're gonna go into relationship communication and relationships. Sorry. And it's not only about like 7 days because it's 7 days. It's from February 10th till 16th and Valentine is included. So, and it's not only about sitting there and listening to somebody. No, no, no. We're gonna do a lot of stuff. I think, if I have it right, we're gonna learn how to make fire in the woods with wood. Not with matches or something. I saw that video on the landing page. We're gonna have a catch
You're
of
gonna
the
make
day.
seasons. You're gonna get massage treatments. Your Medi-Spa treatments are daily. So a lot of times when you go and visit a resort, you plan it a la carte. So maybe you go for one massage, while you're there. Nope, nope, nope. This is all part of your experience at the resort.
Hmm.
So every day that you're at the resort, you have a spa treatment that's allocated. And within that spa treatment includes massage therapy as well as camera therapy, which is the med tech that we use for everything. And
Wow.
so
Yeah.
not only are you going to have an opportunity, spiritually and soul wise to reconnect with your partner, you're going to also experience a physical transformation. Our first goal is to assist you with healing your gut. That's why the wellness weeks are designed over a specific 7 day, 6 night formula. What I did was I looked at what it took to give you the bare minimum of wellness and codified that into a treatment protocol that our spas are going to introduce you to. So you're going to be feeling great inside and out.
Yeah. I mean, I can't wait to get there. It's gonna be amazing. I mean, and especially when I watch the video, we're going to the beach, gonna have some when the sun comes up or the sun comes down, I'm gonna have some meditation sessions. But then also they're gonna go into the sea, catch the fish, have the catch of the day, put it on the barbecue. I mean, I'm already like, and yeah, it's gonna be amazing. And for those who have a company, we have partnership packages. So if that would be the case, please connect with Dr. Stephanie directly or with me. You'll find our information on the landing page. We're going to share that as well. And then, yeah, I would say, and for Valentine, we have a special thing, a surprise for Valentine. I can't say it here right now, but it's a Valentine, and it's only for five couples, so it's gonna be amazing. I promise. I promise.
Absolutely.
I'm super
Absolutely.
excited.
Absolutely. So if you've been enjoying a little bit of what Renee and I are up to, mark or save a space on your calendar for every Monday at 11 a.m. Pacific time. He's typically on another time zone, and so he checks in and lets us know it's typically around nighttime for Renee. So far, it's been. I can't
Well,
wait.
8 p.m. is not too bad. It's not
It's
too
not
bad.
too bad. It's not too bad. I can't wait till we're on a closer time zone, or even in the same time zone. I mean, what could we do if we were in the same time zone?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. That would be amazing. I mean, yeah. But
Absolutely.
yeah, and also for February 10th till 16th, go to the landing page, make sure to register or make sure to send us a message like, hey, how does that work? If you have questions, etc., etc., etc. And then each Monday, join us here on YouTube. Or on Zoom or on the link that will be provided. Make sure to follow us and make sure to like us if you want to. And so yeah.
Yes, go ahead. Give us a like. Give us a like. We want a like. We think we're worthy of a like this time. Give us a little like, right? And then that
Yeah.
way, every week we'll come back to you and share more authentic AF stuff. right? That-
Absolutely. Looking forward to that.
exactly. So we're talking about body language and mindset, right? So come on. It's good. Give us a chance.
Yeah, absolutely.
We got some good stuff. So
Hmm.
Renee, as usual, nice to share this time with you.
Thank you
Uh,
so much again.
prepare for your wellness, your rest. So I hope you rest well. And then we'll
Yeah,
catch up real
yeah,
soon. I'm looking forward to it.
absolutely.
All right. See you soon. Take care,
Bye-bye.
everyone.